What happens when employers don't do the basic things, the things they're supposed to do to take care of their employees? And when they don't take care of their employees, what happens to the business? Well, in making this video, I talked to a lot of people, and I asked the question, what's the most basic thing that an employer is supposed to do for their employees? And while I got a ton of answers from provide a safe working environment to benefits packages, the most common answer that I got from everybody was pay them like you're supposed to. However you promise to pay them that. Now I'm going to cover two things right off the bat. Number one, this video is not about tipping in America. We all know that tipping in America is kind of a dumb system. I'm not talking about that. And the second thing is, there's going to be some people that get pretty pissed off by the end of this video and want to go research on the internet the companies I'm talking about and then leave them bad reviews. And I'm going to ask those people not to do that. In the end, leaving bad reviews for a company based on what management does only hurts the frontline workers. And those are the people we're trying not to hurt with this video. So, instead of trying to help by being a keyboard warrior, I would encourage you to help by being a good human, a nice person, and treating others how you would want to be treated yourself. Now, the food service industry is pretty much split into two categories. Do you work for tips or do you not work for tips? For instance, if you work at McDonald's behind me, you're probably not working for tips. You're going to get paid an hourly wage. Now, a customer may once in a while hand you some money, but you're not going to base your income on tips. And the same thing goes for Bojangles. And for the most part, that goes for Wendy's too. And then there are the food service workers that do work for tips, like the people working at the Waffle House I'm currently sitting in. And while the tipping system in America may not be ideal, I know plenty of servers who are highly skilled at their job, bust their ass every day, and make really good money, support their families, and pay their bills just fine. And then there's always the people who don't want to tip. They're like, it's not my job to pay their salary. Well, yeah, it's not, but that's the way the system is, so shut up and tip your server. I guess what I'm trying to say is, if you're not going to tip a server in a traditional restaurant, don't go to a traditional restaurant. Now, moving on back to the video and why tipping is important. Now, servers don't just work in restaurants. There's a whole category of servers that work in and out of restaurants, and they're known as car hops. Car hops are nothing new. According to Wikipedia, they've been around since 1921. And the general idea is you pull your car into a drive-in restaurant and they come out and take your order and bring you your food. The Sonic car hop is an American icon. Imagine a young man or woman coming out on skates, bringing you your food, taking your orders, making change out of a little belt dispenser of coins, all while showing athleticism and skill on skates of dodging cars and up and down off curbs, balancing food trays and drinks, and setting you up with everything you need. It's a mixture of athleticism, customer service, and being a great server. Now, at most locations, the roller skates have been cut, and that's for a variety of reasons, ranging from America's youth really doesn't know how to skate anymore to insurance, making it cost prohibitive. And if you think about it, the culture of America has changed. Back when car hops came out in 1921, if you took a rough and tumble fall on your skates, you would just get back up and go back to work. But now, in the 2020 era, it's a lawsuit and 10 months of physical therapy because you sprained your wrist and a workers' comp claim. It's just too expensive to run the risk of having somebody on roller skates while they're at work. Now, a short little history fact for you. Back in 1953, Sonic changed the industry because they were pretty much the first ones that used microphones to take your order remotely from a person inside the building. They weren't first to use the car hops that got used back in 1921, but they were the first ones to use the microphone. And that model is still in use in the iconic Sonic drive-up restaurant like we see here. Now, Sonic being so widely known in the United States, pretty much everybody knows you tip your car hop. It's sort of understood. I talked to a lot of people in making this video, and all of them knew you tip your car hop, that the car hops work for tips. And probably more important than whether or not you and I know to tip the car hop, it's that Sonic knows that the car hops work for tips, because their point of sale system that you use to order your food is programmed to allow you, the customer, to leave a tip. You get to pick as soon as you run your card on the touchscreen. And that is what brings us to the point of this video. making sure that your employees get the money that they're supposed to get, the money they were promised when they started working at your company. See, the other day I came here to get something to eat and I noticed a couple of things. Number one, they were understaffed. There were only 2 to 3 people trying to run the entire restaurant. That's cook the food, take the orders, deliver the food, run the drive-thru, run the restaurant. Everything was being done by just 2 or 3 people. So why is it that Sonic's having a hard time staffing their restaurant? Now, you may ask me, you may say, James, how do you know that Sonic is understaffed and having a hard time keeping staff and trying to hire new people? And, well, looking at it, you don't pay hundreds of dollars for a banner if you're not having a problem getting staff. So if we decide to pay with a card, you see that the touchscreen doesn't work. That's okay. We'll just put the card in anyway, and it'll take the card. But when I go to leave a tip, because their system is broken, I can't leave the tip for the person, for the server that's working. So when these car hops came to work, they expected that they would be getting tips, except the touchscreen, it doesn't work, which means they can't get their tip. I don't have the choice to leave them a tip. Even on the receipt that I'm going to be brought, there's not a place for me to leave a tip. So imagine coming to work and busting your ass trying to get not only your wages, but your tips for bringing people their food. And because the owners won't do maintenance on the system, you can't get your tips. It's not even an option. Now, customers could leave cash, but what percentage of transactions are cash? Now let's go look at something that may piss you off even more than what's going on at Sonic. If you were to visit my hometown and look really, really hard, you would find a tiny little sushi place that has amazing food. And right off the bat, your only complaint may be that they don't have ice at a sushi place. No ice to put in your drink. But if you talk to the servers and befriend them, you'll learn that there's something else going on. And that is, management has snuck their dirty little hands into the tip jar. That's right, they've set the entire system up so that whenever you tip your server, the house, or management, the owner, gets 50% of the tip that you leave for the server. So you think you're tipping your server, and half of it is going to the house. And if that wasn't enough, they also charge the server the credit card processing fee for the tip that got left for them if it's left on a credit card, because the owner doesn't think it's his responsibility to pay the credit card fee. Interesting. Now, while that may upset you or you think that that's not fair, at least in that scenario, the server knew when they took the job how the system was going to be set up. They were told before they started and they agreed to it. In the case with Sonic, they were told they could get tips. And they can't. So now on the other side of the spectrum, there's places in my hometown like Blue Mountain Pizza, which pays their workers and servers a living wage and gives the customers the opportunity to tip for outstanding service. And unlike at Sonic, their tipping system actually works. Now, I've given you guys a couple of scenarios. We've got the Sonic drive-in where the car hops aren't able to get their tips like they were promised. And then we've got the sushi restaurant where the owner is taking half of the server's tips and sticking them with a credit card processing fee for the tip that they did get. So here's the question. Which one do you think is worse? Which one would you work at if you had to work at one of them? In any event, let me know in the comments. Guys, I really hope you enjoyed watching the video. I enjoyed making the video. The best way to support the channel is head on over to the merch store, pick up a t-shirt or a sweatshirt. Have a wonderful day, and remember, tip your server, don't be an asshole.